Let me tell you something that might just be the most important truth you hear today. Your words are not just sound, they are seeds. Every time you open your mouth, you are planting something in the soil of your future. You are either planting faith or planting fear. You are either sowing prosperity or poverty, strength or weakness, courage or doubt. And here's the kicker, whatever you plant, you will harvest. That's not motivational fluff. That's kingdom law. See, God didn't build the universe with a hammer and nails. He built it with his voice. He said, "Let there be light," and light obeyed. He spoke land into existence, called the stars by name, gave identity to the oceans, animals, and atmosphere, all with a word. And you were created in his image. That means you were given the same creative capacity. You don't just speak words, you speak worlds. So now the question becomes, what kind of world are you building with your words? Most people don't realize it, but the reason they're stuck isn't because of their talent, their education, or even their environment. It's because of their language. The vocabulary of their lives is cursing their vision. You can't talk like a victim and live like a victor. You can't declare defeat and expect destiny. Your mouth will either promote you or paralyze you. I hear people say all the time, "I can't catch a break. Nothing good ever happens for me. I'm always behind. This is just my luck." And they say it casually, like it doesn't mean anything. But those words are working, and they're working against them. Listen, you've got to start treating your words like they carry weight, because they do. You don't need to wait until your circumstances change to change your conversation. You change your conversation and your circumstances will follow. That's how spiritual authority works. Let me tell you from personal experience, I didn't speak success because I had it. I spoke it because I believed it was mine before I ever saw it. I would walk into rooms where I didn't look like I belonged, and I'd still say to myself, I am supposed to be here. I didn't wait for someone to validate me. I validated myself with the truth of God's word. Some of you are trying to build a new life, but you're using the same old language. You're asking God for promotion, but speaking like someone who's preparing for rejection. You're praying for overflow, but declaring lack. You're asking for healing, but confessing brokenness. And heaven's looking down like, I want to release the blessing, but your mouth is out of alignment with your miracle. You've got to get your mouth in agreement with your destiny. Start speaking what God says about you, even if your current reality doesn't match it yet. And that's not lying, that's prophesying. That's not pretending. You don't have to feel it to speak it. You just have to believe it. And the more you speak it, the more you'll believe it. And the more you believe it, the more you'll begin to see it. Speak life over your business. Speak life over your finances. Speak life over your body. Speak life over your marriage. Speak life over your dreams. Because your words are the construction crew of your future. They are building something whether you realize it or not. So don't let frustration dictate your vocabulary. Don't let your current struggle steal your language of victory. You've got power in your mouth that can transform every area of your life, but you've got to use it on purpose. With authority, with intention, with faith. If God said you're blessed, then speak like someone who's blessed. If God said you're victorious, then talk like someone who's already won. If God said he has plans to prosper you, then stop speaking like your best days are behind you. Your words create your world, so speak like the world you're building is worth living in. You ever notice how your life tends to mirror your language? Not just what you say once in a while, but what you say consistently. I'm not talking about the hype you post on social media or the motivation you pull out when you're around the right people. I'm talking about that daily internal narrative, the words you whisper to yourself when no one's listening. Because here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your declarations. You become what you keep saying over and over again. If every day you say, I'm tired, I'm broke, I can't catch a break, guess what? Your body's going to respond. Your energy's going to drop. Your spirit's going to align with that confession, and your reality is going to shape itself around your speech. Why? Because repetition is how you train your brain, and your brain doesn't know the difference between a fact and a faith declaration. It just believes whatever it hears the most. Let me put it this way. Your declarations are training your identity. Every time you speak, you are either reinforcing a past version of yourself or stepping into the future version God designed you to become. When I was broke, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, I didn't speak like a broke man. I didn't say, well, I guess this is my lot in life. No. I said, I am wealthy. I said, I am highly favored. I said, doors are opening for me even when I can't see them yet. I was speaking based on my situation. I was speaking based on my destination. I remember declaring things like, I am becoming a multimillionaire. I didn't whisper it. I didn't hope it. I declared it. And I said it before the money ever hit my account. I said it when the bills were overdue, when the phone calls were about collections, when it felt like nothing was shifting. I declared it because I understood that what I repeatedly say, I eventually believe, and what I believe, I will begin to act upon. And here's what's wild. You don't even have to believe it 100% at first. You just have to say it enough times that your belief catches up to your words. That's why affirmations work. That's why scripture works. That's why declarations rooted in truth have the power to break chains and shift identities. It's not magic, it's alignment. You've got to speak it until your nervous system believes you. Speak it until your energy changes. Speak it until your habits shift. Speak it until the people around you start to treat you like the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Think about it. Olympic athletes don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They talk like champions before they ever win a medal. CEOs speak like leaders before they ever sign the big deals. You want to elevate your life? Elevate your language. You don't become confident by accident. You don't become bold by mistake. You don't become successful by coincidence. You become what you say consistently, daily, with conviction. So if you've been walking around saying things like, I'm not good with money, or I'm just not a people person, or I never finish what I start, let me challenge you. Stop rehearsing that story. That's not who you are, it's just who you've been. And if you want to become someone different, you have to start saying something different. Start declaring, I am disciplined, I am favored, I am excellent, I am consistent, I am prosperous, I am connected to divine opportunities, I attract what I am becoming, I walk in power, purpose, and provision. Say it in the morning when you wake up, say it in the mirror before that meeting, say it when you feel tired, say it when you feel doubt, say it until your voice shakes, and then say it until it doesn't. Because repetition rewires your reality. And the moment your words change, your life begins to follow. So if you want to become something greater, declare something greater, and do it every single day like your life depends on it, because it does. You know what's wild? For most people, the biggest battle they face every single day is not with the economy, not with their family, not with their boss, not with their business. It's the battle between their ears. That inner voice, that inner critic, that thing that whispers when you're trying to level up. Who do you think you are? And you've been listening to that voice for so long, you've started mistaking it for truth. But let me tell you right now, just because a voice is loud doesn't mean it's right. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's from God. See, the inner critic doesn't speak from your future. It speaks from your failures. It remembers every mistake, every rejection, every moment of insecurity, and it replays it like a broken record. You're not qualified. You always mess things up. Don't even try. You'll just embarrass yourself. That voice will rob you of your purpose before the world ever gets a chance to see it. But here's the good news. You've got another voice inside you, a voice of power, a voice of truth, a voice that's been drowned out by years of criticism, but it's still there. That's your inner coach. That's the part of you that knows you're not what happened to you, that knows your past doesn't define your potential, that knows God has already placed greatness inside of you. It's just waiting for you to speak like it. And you've got to make a choice. Which voice are you going to turn up? Because both voices are there, but only one gets the mic. See, I remember times when my inner critic was screaming louder than anything else. Times when I failed and that voice said, see, you're not cut out for this. Times when things didn't go as planned and the critic said, you should have just stayed in your lane. But then I learned a principle that changed everything. You can't fight thoughts with thoughts. You've got to fight thoughts with words. So when that inner critic showed up, I started talking back. When it said, you're not qualified, I said, I'm called. When it said, you're not smart enough, I said, I have the mind of Christ. When it said, you've messed up too many times, I said, his grace is sufficient for me. But I didn't let the critic have the last word because the critic doesn't get to narrate my destiny. And I'm telling you right now, you've got to become the loudest voice in your own life. You've got to drown out that critic by amplifying that coach. That coach knows your value. That coach remembers the promises God made you. That coach knows the power you carry even when you forget. But here's the thing, that coach doesn't shout. You've got to invite it in. You've got to create space for it every morning. Speak life into yourself before the world has a chance to speak death over your dreams. Don't wait for someone else to hype you up. You've got to learn how to hype yourself up with truth. You've got to say, I am chosen. I am equipped. I have everything I need right now to take the next step. I am becoming more every single day. I was born to lead, to win, to influence, to rise. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not what your worst day said about you. You are not your fears, your doubts, or your detours. You are who God says you are. And the moment you begin to speak like it, your mind starts to shift, your habits start to align, and your destiny begins to open up in front of you. The critic will always be there, but from now on, it doesn't get to lead. The coach takes the mic. The coach speaks vision. The coach speaks victory. And when the coach speaks, you move. And let me tell you something that most people don't realize. Your words don't just describe your life, they direct it. They're not just reflections of what's happening around you, they're blueprints for what's about to happen ahead of you. Every word you speak is a command, a signal, a divine instruction that your future is listening to. And guess what? Your future obeys the commands you give it most often. Your words are not suggestions, they are decrees. Every time you say, I'm never going to make it, your future says, okay, let's build a path that confirms that. Every time you say, things never work out for me, your life goes, got it, let's manifest situations that prove that to be true. But when you shift your language, when you start declaring, I am more than a conqueror, everything is working together for my good, I am blessed and highly favored, your life starts making room for that truth. See, God didn't create you to walk through life on autopilot, reciting phrases soaked in fear and frustration. He gave you the authority to speak things that are not as though they were. You don't have to wait until you see it to say it. You say it so you can see it. That's kingdom law. That's faith in action. Think about the power of a commander in the military. When a commander issues an order, everything around them starts moving in response. Troops shift, strategies form, movement happens. Why? Because that commander has authority, and the same is true for you. When you speak over your life, your words set things in motion. But here's the catch. You've got to believe your words have power. You can't issue commands like a whispering servant. You've got to speak like a general, like a king, like someone who knows heaven is backing every word that lines up with truth. I remember times in my life when everything looked like it was falling apart. The finances weren't lining up, the goals were out of reach, the vision was blurry, and you know what the enemy wanted? He wanted me to open my mouth and say, it's not working. Because the moment I said that, I would have given a command to my future to make sure it didn't work. But I refused to prophesy my own failure. I stood in faith. I looked my situation in the face and said, you will turn in my favor. I said, I am the head and not the tail. I said, my latter days will be greater than my former. And you know what happened? My future heard those words, and it got to work. Doors began to open. Resources began to show up. People began to align. Why? Because I wasn't speaking from my feelings. I was commanding from my faith. See, you've got to understand this. Your mouth is a weapon, and your words are marching orders. The battlefield might be invisible, but it's real. And every time you speak fear, you give the enemy territory. But every time you speak faith, you reclaim the ground God already promised you. You're not just talking, you're building. Every word is a brick. So what kind of structure are you constructing? A tower of strength or a trap of self-doubt? And let me say this to you. If you've been speaking things over your life that don't align with who God says you are, it's time to cancel those orders right now. You can override every lie with truth. You can override every negative declaration with a kingdom one. Say, I cancel every word I've spoken that limited me. I revoke every phrase that spoke death over my dream. I now command my future to align with purpose, power, and provision. Because your words are not casual, they're causal. They cause things to happen. They move things in the spirit. They build, they break, they lift, they lead. So speak with intention, speak with courage, speak like your destiny depends on it, because it does. Every word is a command. Make sure you're commanding your future toward the life you were born to live. What if I told you that everything could change in the next 24 hours? Not because your circumstances change, but because you change. Because you decide to speak different, because you decide to think different. Because you decide, I've had enough of living beneath my calling. See, we make transformation this big dramatic process. We think it takes years to shift a life. But the truth is, it only takes a moment of decision, a moment of alignment, a moment where you say, I'm not going to keep speaking defeat and expect victory. Let me challenge you right now. For the next 24 hours, speak to yourself like someone who actually believes in who you are becoming. For the next 24 hours, cancel every excuse. Stop rehearsing every limitation. Refuse to let old labels shape new levels. For the next 24 hours, speak to yourself the way your future needs you to. When you wake up, don't grab your phone, grab your declaration. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I am powerful, I am focused, I am called, I am unstoppable. Speak to your potential, not your problems. Speak to your destiny, not your doubt. And I don't mean speak it once. I mean every hour, every conversation, every time you're tempted to shrink back, speak life over yourself again. When the inner critic rises, shut it down with truth. When discouragement whispers, drown it out with declaration. Because when you speak different, you show up different. And when you show up different, the world starts responding to you in a different way. I've watched people transform, not in a year, not in a month, but in a single day, because they finally got their words in agreement with their worth. They finally said, I'm done repeating the language of lack and limitation. And the moment they opened their mouth to speak power, power showed up. Clarity showed up. Let me be real with you. Heaven is not waiting for your perfection. It's waiting for your participation. It's waiting for you to align your mouth with your mission. It's waiting for you to speak what God already said about you. Because the truth is, the blessing is already in motion, but your words are the key that unlock it. So what if for the next 24 hours, you didn't allow one word of fear, shame, doubt, or defeat out of your mouth? What if you just tried it? What if you lived like your words were sacred and your time was short? Because they are, and it is. Speak like the CEO of your destiny. Speak like the leader of your life. Speak like someone who knows that the next 24 hours could be the turning point, not because of what the world does, but because of what you say. It's not hype, it's heaven's design. The power is already in your mouth. The miracle is already in motion. And the next 24 hours, they're not just another day, they're an invitation to your next dimension. So don't wait, don't hesitate. Don't speak casually, speak prophetically, because how you speak in the next 24 hours may very well determine how you live for the next 24 years.